Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to explore powerful ideas that can genuinely help you navigate life. And today, we're tackling something pretty big, the journey from self-sabotage to self-mastery. Our main guide for this is Brianna Wiest's book, The Mountain is You. It's got some really profound takes on why we get in our own way.
Absolutely. Our mission today really is to unpack this idea that what often looks like self-destruction is actually, well, a hidden form of self-protection. We want to help you identify those patterns, understand the messages behind your feelings, and crucially, give you some practical ways to actually move forward. It's about turning those inner struggles into real, lasting change.
Yeah, that first idea alone really flips the script, doesn't it? The core concept being that the mountain, the big obstacle, isn't actually external. It's not the job or the relationship problem itself.
Exactly. White's metaphor isn't about some impossible task out there. She argues your mountain comes from these coexisting needs inside you that are often in conflict. Your conscious mind wants one thing, success, maybe, or love, but your unconscious mind is pulling back, resisting, that internal tug of war. That is the mountain.
So it's an inner conflict, not an outer barrier. And what I found really striking is how the book talks about adversity, this concept of positive disintegration. Can you maybe unpack that a bit? It sounds intense but important.
It's a fantastic concept, actually. Think about it like forest fires in nature. Sometimes you need that clearing out of old stuff for new growth to happen. Our minds can go through something similar. It feels like a breakdown, like everything's falling apart, but it's often this necessary cleansing, releasing old beliefs, old coping strategies. That breakdown is often the tipping point right before a breakthrough.
Okay, so going through that, feeling that struggle doesn't mean you're fundamentally broken or flawed.
Not at all. Winston is really clear on this. Having a mountain facing these struggles is part of growth. Imperfection allows for it. Your mountain is usually less about one big external event and more about a chronic internal state built up over time from maybe small traumas, ingrained coping mechanisms.
That makes a lot of sense. The book puts it so directly. Your mountain is the block between you and the life you want to live. So, connecting this back to self-sabotage, how do those seemingly self-defeating behaviors fit into this mountain within idea?
Well, on the surface, self-sabotage can look like, self-hatred or just a lack of willpower. But Winst argues it's actually driven by an unconscious need that the behavior is trying awkwardly to fulfill. It's what psychologists might call a maladaptive coping mechanism. It's a way to numb a desire or get temporary relief, but it doesn't fix the root issue. It's like misguided self-preservation.
Misguided self-preservation is a powerful way to think about it. And the book points to a few key reasons this happens. One that really stood out to me was irrational fear. Like, we take real fears and pin them on something less likely.
Exactly. It's like projecting. You might have a legitimate fear, maybe, of losing control in your life or fear of moving forward into the unknown. But instead of facing that directly, your brain latches onto something seemingly smaller, like being terrified of being a passenger in a car, even though you drive fine yourself. The car fear becomes a safer, more contained thing to worry about than the bigger underlying fear.
Wow, okay, so the symptom isn't the real problem. What's another root cause the book discusses?
Another big one is unconscious, negative associations. Our self-concept, it's built from everything we've absorbed. This creates confirmation bias. So if you unconsciously link a goal, let's say financial success, with something negative, maybe you grew up hearing rich people are greedy, your brain will subtly fight against you achieving that goal. Or maybe you link being healthy with vulnerability, perhaps because someone healthy in your family got sick unexpectedly. You might then resist taking good care of yourself without even realizing why.
And the third one is maybe the simplest, but also really insidious.
Yeah.
Just unfamiliarity.
Yeah, simple but powerful. We naturally resist the unknown, even if it's something good. We often mistake the discomfort of change for a sign that something is wrong. Gay Hendricks calls it the upper limit problem. We have this internal thermostat for how much happiness or success we're comfortable with. When we go above it, we often unconsciously do something to bring ourselves back down to that familiar baseline.
Back to the comfort zone, even if it's not where we truly want to be.
Exactly. That stretch feels threatening, so we retreat.
So, okay, these inner conflicts, these fears, these associations, how do they actually show up in our daily lives? Let's maybe shift to recognizing the symptoms. And you made the point earlier, these aren't the problems themselves, just signals.
Crucial distinction, yeah. Let's look at some common ones. Resistance. This isn't just putting things off, it's deeper. It's like your system slowing down, checking, is it really safe to get attached to this new thing? The way through isn't usually brute force. It's more about stepping back, asking why you want this, what you really want, and maybe waiting for genuine inspiration rather than just pushing against that wall.
Right? Forcing it just digs the heels in deeper. Okay, what about when things are actually going well and then suddenly, boom, sabotage?
Yes. That's often hitting your upper limit. You unconsciously derail good things because they feel too good, too unfamiliar. Your system isn't wired for constant bliss, it's wired for what it knows. The fix isn't trying to leap into a totally new reality overnight. It's more about slow acclimation, gradually getting used to a new level of good, letting your baseline shift slowly.
That makes sense. And then there's the classic, perfectionism, that need for everything to be flawless before you even start.
Yeah, and perfectionism is usually less about high standards and more about a deep fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of vulnerability. It stops you from doing the messy, necessary work that leads to actually getting good at something. The advice here is pretty blunt. Focus on progress, not perfection. Just do the thing. Don't worry about doing it well at first. Just do it consistently.
Shifting focus from outcome to action. Got it. And what about people who always have an excuse, who seem to value the reason why they didn't do something more than actually doing it?
That's justification. Using excuses almost as a substitute for achievement. The way out is pretty direct. Measure your outcomes, not your intentions or your reasons. Stop accepting your own excuses. Ultimately, life looks at what you actually did, not what you planned to do or why you couldn't.
Ouch. But true. Okay, another angle. Sometimes sabotage shows up in our relationships, right?
Yeah.
Like spending time with the wrong people.
Definitely. This is a big one. These are the relationships that consistently leave you feeling drained, less than, or maybe subtly jealous. The solution isn't always dramatic confrontation. It's more about consciously building a circle of people who genuinely support and inspire you, people who align with your values, and then gradually, mindfully, phasing out those draining connections. Less drama, more discernment.
Okay, so there are lots of these symptoms. The book mentions things like chronic disorganization, being constantly busy, unhealthy habits, judging others, pride. But the underlying theme seems to be, if a behavior consistently blocks you from your own stated goals, it's probably a form of self-sabotage. It's trying to meet some need, just in a really unhelpful way.
That's the core idea, exactly. And if you're listening and wondering, am I stuck in this? The book gives some pretty clear signs like, are you focusing way more on what you don't want instead of what you do want?
Hmm.
Are you trying way too hard to impress people who honestly probably don't even like you? Are you kind of ignoring major issues in your life, sticking your head in the sand?
Okay.
Or maybe caring more about appearing okay than actually being okay? Being terrified of your own feelings, blindly chasing goals without knowing your why. These are all red flags, and a really big one. Are you treating the symptom like the overeating or the overspending as the problem, instead of asking, what feeling am I trying to numb or meet with this behavior? If you're doing that, you're likely caught in the cycle.
Right. So once we start recognizing these behaviors, the next logical step is understanding what they're trying to tell us. The book has this great line: your triggers aren't random, they're guides to your freedom. They point to unmet needs, unprocessed emotions.
Exactly. It's about decoding the messages. Take anger, for example. We often see it as negative, purely aggressive. But the book reframes it as this beautiful transformative emotion. Anger shows you where your boundaries have been crossed, what feels unjust to you. Used constructively, internally, it's fuel. It mobilizes you to take action, to make changes that protect your integrity.
That's a huge reframe. What about sadness? Something else we often try to push away.
Sadness is just the correct, natural response to loss, any kind of loss. And it needs space to move through you, often in waves, like grief. And crying. That's not weakness. The book argues it's actually a sign of mental strength, a willingness to be vulnerable, to release, to process.
Okay, and then there's jealousy.
Yeah.
That uncomfortable feeling when someone else has what we want.
Right. Jealousy often acts as a kind of cover-up. Underneath it, there's usually sadness about what you feel you lack or dissatisfaction with your own situation. But the key insight is that jealousy shows you exactly what you desire, what you want to pursue but maybe feel blocked from. Instead of letting it fester into judgment, you can use it as a compass. Ah, okay, that's pointing towards something I actually want to build or achieve.
Using it as data. I like that. And what about that constant nagging anxiety, chronic fear?
Chronic fear, the book suggests, often points to underdeveloped internal coping systems. You feel perpetually out of control. And interestingly, it's often a projection of what's already happening internally, that feeling of powerlessness. It derails you by focusing all your energy on external what-ifs you can't control. The radical solution offered is actually acceptance. learning to mentally shrug and say, and if that happens, it happens. Paradoxically, releasing the struggle against the uncontrollable is what gives you your power back in the present.
It really sounds like our insides are constantly talking to us, you know, whispering at first and maybe screaming through these behaviors if we don't listen. The answers are already there.
They really are. Your subconscious is communicating all the time through these patterns. Think about it. If you keep attracting emotionally unavailable people, maybe the message is, you are worthy of real commitment. Start choosing people who can offer that. Or if you're constantly overworking, is the message, I need to prove my value. Or maybe I'm running from the quiet, from being alone with my thoughts and feelings.
What about something super common today, like just mindlessly scrolling social media for hours?
That's often a clear signal of trying to numb discomfort. There's some underlying feeling or situation you don't want to face, and the scrolling is an easy escape, a quick dopamine hit that avoids the real issue. The discomfort itself is the message trying to get through.
So every one of these seemingly self-defeating things is actually holding a message about a need or a fear. Okay, this is incredibly insightful, but it brings up a really practical question.
Yeah.
How do you tell the difference between genuine gut instinct and just plain old fear? They can feel so similar sometimes.
That's a vital distinction to make. The book offers a clear guideline. True gut instinct operates only in the present moment. It's usually quiet, gentle, a subtle knowing. It doesn't scream or panic you. It's a response to now, aimed at making things better, clearer. Fear, on the other hand, tends to be loud, frantic, and it's almost always projecting into the future. What if this happens? What if that goes wrong? Your gut gives present information. Fear creates future drama.
So gut feelings are present, quiet, problem solving. Fear is future-oriented, loud, problem-creating.
Precisely. Intuitive nudges feel calm, rational, maybe even loving. They guide you. Intrusive thoughts feel hectic, irrational, scared. They derail you. One empowers, the other disempowers. Learning to feel that difference is key.
That's super helpful. Before we dive into actually taking action and healing, let's touch on self-care. It gets a bit of a bad rap sometimes, seen as fluffy, but the book positions it as foundational.
Absolutely foundational. And we're not just having bubble baths, though those can be nice. True self-care in this context is about the non-negotiables. Proper nutrition, enough sleep, a living space that feels clean and supportive, dressing in a way that makes you feel good, and maybe the most crucial part, allowing yourself to feel your emotions without judging them or needing to immediately fix them. These aren't luxuries. They're essential maintenance for your system. They create the inner safety needed to even begin tackling the bigger stuff. All right, so moving towards mastery. The book argues that self-sabotage often stems from essentially low emotional intelligence. Understanding ourselves, understanding how our brains work is crucial.
Right, and it's fascinating, almost frustrating, to learn that our brains aren't always on board with what we consciously want. Can you explain a bit about why that is neurologically?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Think about dopamine. It drives the wanting, the seeking, but when you actually achieve the goal, the dopamine often drops off. Your brain immediately starts looking for the next thing to want. So subconsciously, we know that reaching a goal just means more wanting, more striving. And sometimes, deep down, we resist that endless cycle. Add to that our biases like loss aversion, fear of the unknown, comparing ourselves, and you get this internal toxic cocktail, as the book calls it, that can push away the very success we're aiming for.
Which explains why even good changes can feel so uncomfortable, that idea of adjustment shock.
Exactly. Adjustment shock is that weird anxiety you can feel even when something great happens, getting married, landing the dream job, moving. Your brain registers new as potentially dangerous until it becomes familiar. It's just the system recalibrating, even to positive shifts.
And the book uses the term anti-fragile to describe the mind. I love that. What does it mean?
Anti-fragile means it doesn't just withstand stress, it actually gets better because of it. Like your immune system getting stronger after fighting off germs. Our minds need challenges, stimulation, even struggle to grow. If we try to shield ourselves from all difficulty, the book suggests our brain will just create internal problems to chew on anxiety, obsession, but without the reward of actual growth you get from overcoming real-world challenges. So embracing the grit of it all actually makes us mentally stronger.
Okay, so if our brains have these tendencies and we need challenge, how do we actually create lasting change? Is it about waiting for some huge aha moment, some massive breakthrough?
Not really. The book argues that breakthroughs are mostly just tipping points. They're the visible result of countless microshifts, tiny, almost invisible daily choices and actions that add up over time. Think of the penny doubling analogy. One penny doubled every day becomes over $10 million in a month. It's not the single big deposit, it's the consistent compounding effect of small daily actions. That's how real transformation happens.
That really reframes the pressure we put on ourselves for huge leaps. And linked to this is the idea of healing. The book makes a distinction. Healing your mind isn't like healing a broken bone, going back to how it was. It's about becoming someone new.
Yes, exactly. Physical healing often aims to restore a previous state, but mental and emotional healing is inherently transformative. It involves a deep inner restructuring, and it's often uncomfortable. It means taking an honest look at yourself, feeling all the feelings, the anger, the sadness, the fear you've been avoiding, facing your own darkness. It's that positive disintegration again. It breaks down the old to build something stronger, more resilient, more authentically you. The goal isn't to avoid pain, but to learn that action, not avoidance, is your true protection.
And speaking of moving forward, there's often this cultural idea of the revenge glow-up, proving the doubters wrong. What does the book say about that? Is that real growth?
Not really, no. A real glow-up, according to West, is internal. It's authentic. It's focused on how things feel on the inside, not just how they look to others. It's about shedding the need for external validation, prioritizing your own heart, your own peace. The truth is, the only person you really need to prove wrong is the part of yourself that didn't believe you could do it. True transformation happens when you start performing for an audience.
Okay, so we've dug into the roots of self-sabotage. We understand the need for healing. How do we actively start building that new future? The book mentions connecting with your highest potential future self. How does that work?
It's a really powerful visualization technique, kind of like reverse engineering your growth. You start by acknowledging your current fears and limitations. Then you vividly imagine your future self, the version of you who has overcome the mountain. What do they look like? How do they carry themselves? What energy do they have? Then you mentally ask this future self for guidance. What steps did they take? What beliefs did they adopt? You imagine them handing you the keys, the insights, the courage needed for your journey. It helps create a clear vision and pulls you forward.
And connecting this to what you said earlier about trauma being physical,
Mhm.
the book emphasizes it's not just in your head. How does this future self work relate to healing that embodied trauma? What else is needed?
Trauma absolutely impacts us physically. Brain structure changes, nervous system regulation. Healing means restoring a sense of safety in the body, often in the very area where the trauma occurred. For instance, healing relationship trauma isn't just about therapy. It's about eventually building genuinely safe and healthy relationships. You have to experience the corrective opposite. To release that stored emotional backlog, the book suggests things like meditation aimed at feeling emotions, not just suppressing them, doing body scans to locate physical tension, and allowing physical release through movement, sweating, even crying. You have to let the stored energy move through you.
That makes sense. It leads to another key point the book makes. More money does not solve money problems. Different relationships do not solve relationship problems. If external changes aren't the answer, what is?
Principles. That's the answer the book gives. Principles are different from values. Values can be subjective, they can change. Principles are like objective. Natural laws, cause and effect. Like gravity. For money, principles might be things like always have low overhead, eliminate debt, save consistently. They're actions that reliably produce results over time, regardless of how you feel. For relationships, principles might involve clear communication, mutual respect, maintaining boundaries. The idea is that applying consistent principles, like a farmer tending crops, is what yields sustainable long-term results. Inspiration fades, principles endure.
So it's about building on a solid foundation of these objective truths, rather than just chasing feelings or external fixes. Okay, what about finding your purpose? We're often told, follow your passion, but the book offers a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, it suggests purpose isn't necessarily one grand passion or job title. It's more fundamental. It's about the purpose of being here, evolving, learning, working on yourself. Your specific contribution, your life's work, often emerges at the intersection of three things: your natural skills and talents, your genuine interests, and what the world actually needs or values.
Yeah.
And often, purpose crystallizes through facing hardship. It clarifies what's truly important to you.
So for listeners trying to connect with that deeper sense of purpose, are there specific questions the book suggests asking?
Yes, some really good ones.
Yeah.
What or who is worth suffering for? What is your best self actually like, free from others' expectations? What would you do with your time if social media vanished tomorrow? Also, what activities come naturally to you? Where you lose track of time? What would your ideal sustainable daily routine look like? And maybe the biggest one, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? These questions cut through the noise. And all of this really ties back to the qualities of mentally strong people, which the book outlines beautifully. They understand that plans fix problems, not just worrying. They practice humility, realizing life isn't all about them. They ask for help, knowing we live in a specialized world. They're comfortable saying, I don't know, avoiding rigid black and white thinking. They catch themselves in psychic thinking, assuming they know others' intentions. They take radical responsibility for their lives. They allow themselves to feel complex emotions without being overwhelmed. They talk things out. They're patient, embracing microshifts. They see triggers as valuable signals, and they honor discomfort as a teacher.
Those are incredibly valuable traits to cultivate. And finally, on a perhaps lighter note, how does the book suggest we actually learn to enjoy life more day to day?
It offers some really profound, simple advice. First, stop trying so hard to be happy. Happiness isn't something you chase and capture. It's something you allow by creating the right inner conditions. Be present. Fully arrive in this moment. It's the only place joy actually exists. Stop needing to assert dominance or be right all the time. Lean into simple, small joys. Nurture your positive relationships. Keep learning. See challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth. Be mindful of where your energy goes. Your focus creates your reality. And crucially, scheduling time to do nothing. Just be, and schedule time to play, whatever that means for you. Ultimately, achieving self-mastery is about taking that radical responsibility. It's about recognizing that your mountains, your challenges, aren't punishments. They are, in fact, gifts. They're there to show you your own strength, your potential, and to guide you towards becoming the person you were always meant to be.
So to kind of bring it all together, the core message seems to be self-sabotage isn't some deep character flaw. It's a signal, a misguided attempt at protection. And by understanding its roots, recognizing its symptoms, learning to decode our emotions, and building our lives on solid principles, we can actually move beyond just coping and start truly mastering ourselves.
Exactly. If you connect it to the bigger picture, the ultimate lesson here from the mountain is that your greatest challenges aren't there to destroy you. They're there to reveal you, to show you the strength you didn't know you had.
So for you listening right now, maybe think about what Wes says. One day, the mountain that was in front of you will be so far behind you it will barely be visible in the distance. But who you become in learning to climb it, that will stay with you forever.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. What's one single, small action, a micro shift you could take today to start climbing your own mountain, even if the summit feels miles away? Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope these insights resonate and help you on your own journey.